This is Roger Struckoff with Syscon TV from day 2 at Cloud Expo East in New York in the year 2016. And we are joined right now by Nara Rajagopalan from Accelerite. And he spoke earlier in the conference and he was on a panel and it was just marvelous stuff. So welcome. And one of his topics was zero to cloud in 60 minutes. And we're not going to dwell on that so much, but the key to it, which has to do with private cloud. And a lot of people say, well, there is no such thing. Well, he believes there is, and he's going to take us through why there is, maybe, why some people think, why maybe the development's been a little slower than you would like, or some people would like, and what you're doing about it. So, is there such a thing?
Thanks, Roger. Yes, absolutely. We have several customers now running private clouds. They're not as large as they should be, but it's getting there. We have 150-odd enterprise customers who are running private clouds in our infrastructure now. There are varied sizes. There are large companies who have 150, 200 node deployments of clouds, which would be on an enterprise scale reasonable sized. But we have several who are in the 10, 15 range as well. So the size varies, but we believe the world is getting there. In my opinion, the adoption challenge has been pretty simple. I mean, if you look at the world today of virtualization versus clouds, most of the spend in the world is either in public cloud, which is the commonly understood term for cloud. When people think cloud, they think public cloud. They think Amazon primarily, and maybe some Azure. And then there is virtualization, which is not a cloud. It is just VMs running in an enterprise, right? Where you're running your CRM systems or ERP systems. And we have clients on our some of our other products who run their workloads, our products, on a virtualized environment. When they want something, they call IT, and then a week later they get a few VMs provisioned for them on which they can run their stuff. So that's not a cloud. If it is a cloud, then they got to be able to use an API or a self-service tool in order to provision their own stuff. So a lot of places don't have that yet, and I think there is absolutely an opportunity. Public clouds at about 50 to 70 VMs, somewhere in that neighborhood, it is far less expensive to run the cloud in-house. So it could be cost reasons, it could be regulatory reasons, it could be just purely comfort level reasons that a lot of people want to run a cloud, an equally capable cloud on their premises. But the challenge is that, I can go to Amazon. They not only offer infrastructure as a service, but they offer the entire suite of things my developer needs, right? I can go to Amazon. I don't have to know how to run a MySQL database. I don't have to know how to run Hadoop. I don't need to know any of those things. I just say, oops, I want this, and it just shows up. It scales down. So the challenge in the private cloud environment has been, I think the public clouds are far ahead in terms of capability, where they're able to give you all the bells and whistles a developer needs, whereas the private cloud market is just offering infrastructure as a service, even if there was a competent product there, which we believe ours is one. But even the other guys, we're just doing infrastructure as a service and it doesn't cut it. So our approach in what we're launching, it's a Cloud Sense, which is an appliance, and we call this as, we'll be able to get you from zero to cloud in 60 minutes. What we say is it is not just as an infrastructure cloud, IaaS cloud, but instead we'll give you database as a service, we will give you Hadoop as a service, we'll give you platform as a service, we'll give you container as a service. All of those high-level things which will allow an internal private cloud to compete with a fully functional public cloud. Can we offer that in a simple to manage form? So that is what our focus has been.
One of the original arguments of OpEx versus CapEx, et cetera, but I've run the numbers before. If you're actually doing a private cloud, sort of the big dirty secret is Amazon AWS is not really that inexpensive.
Yes, that is true. So, we have some customers for whom we wanted to migrate them to an on-prem deployment they had, and at that time we did not have cloud platform in our hands, and we wanted to migrate them, and they were paying us about $130,000 in maintenance and support for that product line, and to migrate them to Amazon actually costed more per year. Yeah. So, at scale, public clouds become expensive, but in order to start with, they're a great choice because there is no way, for you to spin up 5 VMs just to put the hardware together is going to be too expensive. But at scale, private clouds are an absolute steal.
That's the thing. Okay, I mean, it's almost like people talk past each other sometimes because there's that pesky problem of at scale. And I work a lot in the developers world, and that's the part that seems to be forgotten.
That is correct. So, people always say that, oh, we've done the math for 10 VMs, I got to stack so many things. But, 10 VMs is what your developer needs to get started.
Right.
Then you got to do dev test. Now you get to 20 VMs. Then you got to do scale test. Now you got to 70, 80 VMs. You can get by with Spot instances on Amazon for a bit. At some point in time, you're going to have to go to production. And now you're running 50, 70 VMs all the time. And at that scale, it's insanely more economical to run it in-house.
Yeah. Now running it in-house on existing hardware, I mean, how far back on hardware can you go?
So that is, again, we have taken sort of a different approach from, the world is split into your DIY cloud, if you may, where you just buy software, you install everything, do it yourself, and it takes you several weeks to several months to get anything up and running. And on the other hand, there are guys like the hyper-converged guys like Nutanix who have solved the problem brilliantly. They give you a box, it's got compute, it's got storage, it's got software, you just rack them, stack them, boom, you get a cloud. Yeah. But then you have to buy from Nutanix or whoever it is for the rest of your life. Yeah. So we wanted an approach where you're not locked in, it's an open source software, and still gives you the ability to get an instantaneous cloud. So that has been our focus. So what we have done in our approach is we have made this appliance called CloudSense, but it's only the brains of the cloud or the controller of the cloud, if you may. It doesn't have compute, it doesn't have storage. So we say that go get your compute of choice, get your storage of choice, and rack them. And we have a few simple configuration parameters. You pick and choose, which is the VLAN and what is the IP address range, simple stuff, give us your LDAP, and boom, we get a cloud up and running. Then every customer can choose what they want to do in it. So a customer can come and say, I want database as a service or backup as a service. So we will give those to them like an Amazon RDS would, right? We would just bring that up within their workloads, and a customer, each developer is able to take advantage of a fully functional public cloud-like environment in the private scenario with your own storage and hardware and no vendor lock-in and open source. It's based on Apache Cloud Stack, which is, perhaps the best cloud platform out there.
Yeah. I want to just go back for a second about the virtualized resources. Would you say people that are doing that are on a path to cloud, or is there really kind of a misconception overall that virtualization is sort of cloudy?
Virtualization is an underpinning for cloud, but it is not cloud. If I have to call somebody to get something, if it is not API driven, if it is not something a developer can drive it himself, that's not a cloud. And so, for us, we support KVM, Zen, Hyper-V, and ESX internally. So, we support all of these virtualization environments, but that's exactly that, virtualization environments. And in order to get a cloud, you need something like a cloud platform on top of that.
So to get a real cloud, they come to you. Accelerite, what's your URL?
www.accelerite.com/cloudsense.
Yeah, go to CloudSense. You're going to find everything you need to know. Thanks a lot for being on the show and joining us and everything you're contributing. It's great. And thanks a lot for watching. For SysCon TV, this is Roger Struckoff.